State Film Festival, and here with me today I have Wally Marzano Lesnevich, Raymond D. Smith, I have Andrew K. Smith, and Peter Goldberg. Guys, how are you doing today?
Doing really well.
Very well, thank you.
Doing great.
So before I get into asking you questions about your film Thunderclap, would you like to let our live viewers know a bit about it?
Absolutely. So I'll tell you a bit about it. This is a film about an older man wandering through the hills and foothills of South Carolina, and he comes across a couple who've gone to this cabin in the mountains. Their marriage is not going too well. They're not particularly happy, so they've gone away for a weekend to see if they can meet it. And these three characters meet due to a storm, and life changes. I'll tell you that. Would you like to know anything more about how we started?
Yes, I would love to know what inspired you guys to write Thunderclap.
Well, Andrew and I made a documentary called Voices from Vietnam a few years ago, and we showed it at Beaufort International Film Festival, where we met Wally, who was showing his feature film, Almost Paris. And that's how we got together. The origin of the film was really from what we learned about what happened to these people who fought in the Vietnam War, what their experience was like and how it impacted them. And that led Andrew and I to start talking about a story. And that a year or two later, I started writing it up. And Wally and I met at a young filmmakers event in South Carolina. And we were talking about, he's a screenwriter as well. Where do you get your stories from? We were talking about that. And he said, do you have a story? I said, yes, I have a story. I told him about this story, which is now Thunderclap. And he said, I want to make that, and I want to make it with you. Are you up for it? And here we are.
Yes, just so our live viewers know, Raymond, you directed this, and then you co-wrote and co-produced it with Wally. Andrew, you were the cinematographer and editor, and Peter, you wrote the music.
Well, actually, Wally was a director.
I'm sorry.
Co-wrote it. I produced it, screenwriter, and also acted in it.
Yes. Yes, I feel like I do mix them up. I apologize, but yes.
Okay.
Can I get a little bit of maybe about like your backgrounds more so? So Raymond, you said that you've directed before with Andrew and that you've done before with Wally because you met at another film festival. Peter, what's your background in music writing?
Well, actually, I for years was a full-time musician, and always wrote music for myself. And I have known Ray and Andrew for years, and I was down in South Carolina visiting them, and Ray had shown me some of his documentaries and some of the other things he'd been involved in, and started telling me about Thunderclap, and it just sounded, I was really impressed by the story, and I just sort of casually mentioned, what are you doing about music? And Ray took the bait. And the rest is history. It's been a great opportunity for me. It's the first time I've been able to score a film, and I really enjoyed the process.
And what is your history in? Have you ever written music for a film before?
Never before. I mean, I was a full-time musician for years, a jazz performer. Like many full-time musicians, around the times I had kids, I decided I better go get a real job, and so I continued to play music and write. But never for film. And so it was really a great, I've always been a fan of film music, and really was fascinated by the challenge of creating music that fit the mood and the tone and the narrative of a film. It was a really great challenge for me and a lot of fun. And I love these guys, so it was a pleasure.
You've got a great setup with all of your instruments right behind you too for everyone to see.
Yeah, those are only the ones that I'm showing off today. There's a bunch more back here. So,
Andrew, what is your background in cinematography and editing?
Yeah, so I went to the University of South Carolina where I studied media arts. I knew that I wanted to do video production, so really focused on that in college. Once I graduated, I had about a year-long gap where I was doing freelance work and trying to find a job. I moved back home, so I was living with Ray, and together we kind of started doing some video stuff together. We worked on a few projects. For our local town. Then we made the Voices from Vietnam documentary. So we got a lot of experience working together. You know, me doing the camera work, Ray doing the directing, producing, all that, and then we kind of would edit together to find the story in our different projects. So currently, I work for an insurance company doing videos for their marketing team, social media videos, and that kind of thing. So when this project came around, it was an opportunity to do something a little more creative, a narrative story, which I hadn't really done before, besides a few, small projects in college. So I jumped at the opportunity and got to work with all these guys on it. It was a lot of fun.
Well, I think you did some great work, judging by the film itself. Wally, was this your first time directing?
It was my first time directing for film. I've been very lucky because this is my 5th or 6th film at Garden State.
Awesome.
Sometimes as an actor, often as an actor and writer. But while I've directed theater, I've never directed film before. And Ray, I give him a lot of credit for trusting me. We kind of went into that journey together with him never having acted before. And I want to give a little shout out while I can to the folks who are not on this Facebook Live today. We had an amazing crew. We shot for 3 days in a beautiful cabin that was provided to us by a gentleman named Mike Biedenbauer. Am I saying that right, Ray?
Absolutely. Well done.
Oh, good. Thank God for the cue cards. We shot in Prosperity, South Carolina. And like I said, we had a really dedicated crew, a fella named Brad Hinkle, who worked with Andy as the assistant. And the two of them, Andy and Brad, really created an incredible visual look for the film, which as a first-time director, I was so grateful for. And then we have amazing people in front of the camera who supported Ray as an actor, Rachel and Michael, who play the couple at the heart of the film. And we could not have asked for more dedicated, hardworking, empathetic, close-knit people to come together and do this film over 3, amazing, exhausting, incredible days. Well,
congratulations on directing your first film, and also to Peter for writing music for your first film, because that's such an amazing, feat to have done. Raymond, so you did mention before and Wally, you just mentioned that this was your first time acting. So can you talk about your background in writing and producing films, unless this was also your first time?
Well, it's the first time I wrote anything as well. But I worked with Andrew, as you heard, producing these documentaries that we put together, one of which got on PBS across the country. As for writing, no, I hadn't, as I said. Acting, I've been in front of camera. I work in business education, so sometimes I find myself in front of camera. So that was helpful, but no, I've never acted before. I'd have to say I was terrified. I kept forgetting my lines that I wrote. It was really funny. But yeah, anyway, Wally was very good. Two people were excellent for me. One was Wally, who was very good, very gentle with me, and at one point said, "Ray, a little less." I should never forget that. And I thought, what does that mean? And he looked up, but it really helped me. And the other was Andrew, who was on the other side of the camera that I was very nervous about. And he had such a wonderful manner with the whole thing, but it helped me relax and get into it. In the end, I enjoyed it.
And what was that phrase? Ray, a little what?
I'm sorry?
You said the phrase that Wally would say to you.
Oh, a little less.
A little less.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all he told me. A little less.
Until there was nothing.
Literally nothing. So, when did you guys end up filming Thunderclap?
We filmed it in February of last year. Is that right? Almost a year ago.
Yep.
There had been a COVID delay, as there often was or is. But we were very lucky. Andy had done some amazing sort of B-roll background footage with Ray at different places in the state. There was a storm one night, so Andy and Brad and some of the crew were staying at the cabin that we filmed at, and Andy and Brad, Andy, you can address this, really went out there and braved the elements to get the footage we needed.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that storm was a key part of our film. So we were getting a little worried because we really needed rain, but we weren't getting any. And luckily, the very last night, a big storm came through. So Brad and I stayed up, all night and ran out there at 2 or 3 in the morning just to grab any shots we could of rain falling down. And we're really lucky to get that on the last night to add it in.
I mean, real good luck.
I'd like to give a little call out to the cabin we were at. When we wrote the story, the cabin was the fourth character in the film. So we saw the cabin as that. And I was looking everywhere for a cabin that was in my mind and couldn't find it. And then I came across this cabin on Airbnb owned by Mike Biedenbell. As soon as I saw it, that was it. And the cabin is just a magical place that you can rent and stay in. But for us, it worked particularly well.
Ooh, so I'll have to keep my eye on Airbnb and see if I can find this cabin that's now made a film debut, right?
Yeah, and he was very pleased that it wasn't a horror film. He said, "People come here and they want to make a horror film here. You're not going to do that, are you?" And I said, "No, it's a nice film."
Yeah, good cabin in the woods situation, right?
That's right.
But so, did the COVID pandemic affect filming? And if it did, how did it affect your production and whatnot?
I was going to say one thing is that this was in many ways for me a virtual experience. Wally and I have actually never met face to face, even though I feel like I knew him quite well. As I said before, I've known Ray and Andrew for a long time. So for me, it was I'm used to working in a virtual way, but it was really interesting to also work with Wally, who I had never met face to face, which I probably could have gone down for the filming, but COVID was part of this issue. And also, I don't know how much would have contributed at that point to the film. So that's my perception.
Yeah, you got the easy end, I guess, with that part of it. Just the COVID exposure.
We did have to postpone filming though because of COVID. We had crew members who got sick. So we had to postpone. It was going to be filmed in October originally, and then it got pushed back to February.
Okay. October 2020.
2021.
No. 22.
One. Okay, so you filmed in February. Oh, it just turned 2023, and I'm sitting here. You guys are saying February of last year, and I'm thinking 2021. I'm still getting used to the new year. Excuse me. But that's good though that you worked through COVID having a possible effect on everything, but I mean, you still made a great film and whatnot. So the Garden State Film Festival, Wally, you said this isn't your first time with Garden State,
I've
right?
been very, very fortunate. I mean, I grew up in New Jersey, and I've been very fortunate to screen a feature there, Almost Paris, that Ray mentioned, which is distributed and available by Freestyle Digital Media, shameless plug. And I've acted in some shorts for filmmakers like Adam Saccafico and Sophie and Keith Amatoritis, who made Swung. I wrote and acted in a short called Therapy Bro, which premiered there. So I've had a couple of things. In fact, Garden State was the very first festival I ever screened a short at, any film at. So I feel very fortunate to be screening my directorial debut there as well. It's like coming full circle.
Well, we're honored to have you, and we're so glad to have you back. For the rest of you guys, is this your first time with Garden State Film Festival?
Yep.
Yes.
Well, welcome.
Wait, show of hands, Ray, Andy, Pete, who has ever set foot in New Jersey? Well, okay.
I have a lot of family from New Jersey, so.
Well,
where is
oh, it's in Asbury Park in New Jersey.
Yep, crank up the Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce, yeah, Bruce.
Well, I do hope you guys are planning to come see your
Yep.
film screen. Fantastic. Oh,
No,
Raymond,
I'm afraid I booked up and be far, far away on vacation, and I couldn't change it.
well, I hope you have a wonderful vacation, and we will miss you. But thank you guys so much for joining with me today. Guys, you can see Thunderclap screening at the showroom on Saturday, March 25th from 12:15 to 2:15. Thank you guys again, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.